Hey guys, I'm Chef D-Max. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today, I got a great package in here right from the Hawaiian Islands. And it's packed with taro root, Kalo. So, I'm excited to try it. Okay. Unmask it. There it is, right there. Beautiful root of the taro plant. Okay. I actually grow some taro right in my backyard here. So I'm going to use the leaves of that too. So I've got the root here from Hawaii and the leaves from my backyard. I'm gonna make something awesome with some red snapper. So stay tuned with me. If you're not following me, click subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and ring that bell. And I'll send you stuff that's coming up in the future. So I'll see you back soon. Hey you guys, welcome back to the kitchen. So first thing we have to do to get this dish kicked off is we're gonna make our snapper stock. So I've got this, I went to the fishmonger, I got a beautiful mutton snapper. So look at this baby right here. This is one of our favorite in Florida. Now Hawaii's got a lot of great snapper. The opaka there is amazing. That's always a good choice. So the first thing you're gonna do with this is we're gonna take these gills out, okay? So I've got scissors, heavy duty scissors, you know, and then the reason we use heavy duty is because they're just going to be able to handle more abuse than you could use any scissor you have in the house. But, you know, don't use somebody's craft scissors if they're not willing to let you have it. But here, what I want to do, the reason we take the gills out is because the gills have a lot of unseasoned, you know, kind of this really gamey flavor. And, you know, you think about it, there's, it's got like blood, there's like, you can see how they're red, there's blood in there. And that's going to add a lot of kind of bad odor, flavor, and look. The color will be like red to this dish. So when we cut these out, this gives us nothing but meat and bone, and that's where you get all the flavor. So these aren't the best either. The shears, they're just like a regular kind of utility shear. I do have kitchen shears. I just don't have them on me right now. You could buy like a nice kitchen shear for this, and that's what you want to do. You want to take that bloodline out like that, okay? I've already washed the head really good and rinse it in cold water to get as much of the any kind of debris, or like I said, blood is the big one, because blood is going to discolor your stock and it's going to give it like an off color. We want this stock to be almost clear. So I've got water actually coming to a boil here. The thing that's cool about fish stocks, unlike meat stocks, take a long time to extract the flavor from the bones. Most fish stocks you're going to do very quick, like within an hour. Because if you do them too long, you know, shellfish gets bitter if you do it too long. But fish stock, you just don't get any extra flavor from doing it really, really long. So with this, you're looking just to cut these gills out. And again, they're not easy. You can see I'm hammering away at it here, right? Especially if you have really bad scissors. But what I can do, if I want, is I could get in on there on a knife and get a little bit more, you know, kind of movement going with it. But I'm almost there. You just take your time. Don't cut your fingers with your scissors. But you're looking to cut this off really good, like this. Okay, and what you end up with is this empty cavity, right? And that's what you're looking for, this empty cavity. And the same thing on the other side. Now, you can see that there's meat, there's still meat on these. These are actually called the fish wings. And in the kitchen, these fish wings are super popular. So what we do is we cut it like this and cut it like this, right? And this is actually, see like this bloodline here and stuff, that we don't want that in there. So I'm going to cut that out like this. Actually, I'm going to cut that out. And that's got the fish liver, and there's some fish blood on here too. And what we want to do is make sure we get rid of that like that. So you see how this is all like kind of fish liver, kidneys and blood on there. We don't want that in there. It's going to give the flavor of the stock an off flavor. Now, you can see this beautiful bone right here. Under here is super tender meat. So on big snapper, a lot of times we'll save these. We'll trim off the little fin here, this beautiful fin, and we'll make, we'll marinate this in soy and spices, ginger and things like that, garlic, and then we'll grill those or roast those to make these fish wings, and they're amazing. So with that, I'm gonna pop it in here. I'll end up later eating that myself because it does make for a really great flavor. But if you wanted to, you can take these fish wings here and actually grill those, and they're fantastic. So with this head, like again, pull any bit of blood that you find in there out, right? You can get, and then that's it. You're good to go. Now, you don't really need to chop this up too much because we're going to simmer this for a little while, but we're going to stick this whole head in there like that, and the fish wings, move it around in this water, okay? And then you can see here on my cutting board, right? I've got some beautiful shallots that we're going to use in this dish, but all of the scraps, right? I just drop all those scraps of shallots in there. So these are all of they're clean, like I clean these shallots, so I'm not sticking the really dirty outside in there. I've rinsed them nicely. I've got that. I've got cilantro here we're going to use in this dish later too, but I'm going to take these stems of cilantro and I'm going to put those in here too for flavor, okay? Same with my green onion. You see, I've got green onion here when I'm using the dish, but I've got these green onions here that we're just going to chop like this and put those in there too, okay? And that's that. So I'm going to stir this in. So I've got onion flavor, right? I've got between the shallots and the green onion, right? I've got a little cilantro flavor. I've got the scraps from the ginger, from me peeling the ginger with a spoon. I could use that, or I could just take a little sliver of ginger off of this like this, and I'll just chop it a little bit to put a little ginger flavor in our stock too, okay? So I've got ginger, onion in there, right? Now, what else am I using? I'm using mushrooms. I got these beautiful little Japanese mushrooms I got from the Japanese store. So I'm going to take those, and at the end of it here, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to hold these for later, right? Those are my beautiful mushroom tops. And this whole chunk here like this, I'm going to stick in there. So the mushroom stem. So this stock is going to take all the flavors from this dish that we're making. The mushroom stems, right? The green onions, the shallots, the ginger, and it's all going to marry in there, okay? And that's what we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is bring this to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. And then we're going to let it go for 1 hour. After it goes for an hour, we're just going to turn it off and let it steep in there for another 30 minutes. Then we're going to strain it, and then we're going to have the stock to make our dish. So we'll see you back in a little bit. Okay guys, while this is working on getting itself going, I'm going to show you a different angle to this dish. I need something crispy, right? So one of the things I'm going to do is these beautiful taro root are coming from Hawaii, the ones I showed you earlier, and I'm super excited to try this out. But what's interesting too is I'm down here in Florida, and we also have taro, but we don't. I mean, it doesn't grow as much, or as big, I should say. We don't have as good a soil. You know, having that really deep, rich soil that they have in Hawaii, probably the volcanic soil, has a lot to do with it. But we get littler versions. So I've got a little version in my garden, and so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take these taro and I'm going to alternate these. Now, what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to use a chickpea batter. Now this is kind of playing off of pakora, because pakora, what that is an Indian fried, kind of a fried dish that usually they use, they use taro root with that. They choose the taro root leaf. Sometimes they use other greens as well, but taro root I think is their official one for pakora. So we're going to take a half a cup of chickpea flour, and then I'm going to put in there probably a couple shakes of ginger powder, and then a couple shakes of white powder, white peppercorn. Okay. Then I've got like a spicy chili. You could use cayenne. I've got this chili from Pakistan, very spicy, probably double the spiciness of cayenne, but it's really nice. And then I'm sorry, that was my paprika. So I put a quarter of that. I'm going to put more than that. So 1, 2, 3/4 makes 1 full teaspoon. So 1 full teaspoon of Hungarian paprika. So that's more of a mild paprika. This is my Pakistani chili, and this one I just want to do 1/4 of. And like I said, you would use cayenne in that, okay? Now, you could put onion powder, garlic powder if you wanted as well. That would be fine. Those would work, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of water in this. Let's see if I have a little water in this. So with this, I'll tell you exactly how much we're going to put. This is a 1/2 teaspoon. So let's do 1, 2, 3 1/2 teaspoons for starters, okay? And then I'm going to mix this around. And what we're looking for is a paste. That's why we're not putting a lot of water in there, okay? So 3 is not enough. I'm going to do, let's see, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons. Let's try 6 tablespoons and see where that gets us. So you can see now I'm getting kind of to a paste. And that's what I'm looking for, this paste. You see that? That's going to stick to this and make a batter on this beautiful leaves of taro. Okay? Now, 6, I would say 1 more. So let's go with 7. Lucky number 7, right? Okay. 7, well, those are 1/2 teaspoons, so actually, we're actually 3 1/2 teaspoons. 3 1/2 teaspoons, okay, for a 1/2 cup of chickpea flour, okay? And you see what it looks like? Beautiful, right? The only difference is I need some salt. So I'm going to put a little bit of salt in my stock, and I'm going to put probably 1/4 teaspoon of salt in that, okay? I don't want it overly salty. What we're going to do is take the paste and we'll start putting it on like this. We're going to smear it right on here. You see that? So we're going to just take this, and it's probably easiest to do with my fingers, right? But we're going to just smear this chickpea paste on here like this, okay? And this is going to allow it to stick, okay? Now, what I'll do is I'll lay this down on my plastic wrap, okay? Like this, and then we'll start laying it. Now, I want to get bigger. I'll go bigger to smaller. So I want to lay this on there. You see that? How I just lay that on there like this, and then more. And I'm just going to coat that on there good. You don't have to have that much on there. It's not that imperative that you have this huge amount. Okay? And then what we're going to do is I'm going to lay it this way too, so it kind of makes more of a square, more of a square and less of an arrowhead, right? So we're just going to keep doing that, and then we're going to keep layering this. So some of them you might have to put 2 on here like this, right? Which is fine. Okay, like this. Okay. Like this. You see how I'm like alternating those like that? And then put this on. And then we're going to do our last one like this. Okay? So now we've got a nice package, and I've got all my batter here. And I've rubbed on these leaves really nice. And I've got this great crispy batter that's going to happen when we fry this. It's going to turn crispy, okay? So we're not going to be able to fry it yet because it's got to cook. This taro root has to cook. So with this, what I'm going to do is start to fold it over like this. Actually, I think it's going to be easiest to fold this from top to bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'll give us a shorter and fatter one, which is what I'm looking for. So we're going to take this like this, and we're going to roll this baby up. You see how I'm doing that? Super easy. And I want to keep every bit of this batter in here, and keep it nice and spread out and thin on there. Okay? So it's almost like this little pinwheel, right? See that? Like this. Okay? Now, I'm going to turn this way, and I'm going to use this. You've made this burrito, right? You guys have all made burritos at home. That's all you're doing is making a little burrito. And then you're going to do this, and you're going to twist it on the ends like this. Okay? Like that. I'm going to tie it. Okay? And that's it. So, we're going to take this, and I'm going to put this in my steamer. I've got a steamer set up back here, hot boiling water inside of a steamer basket. I'm going to steam this for 20 minutes, okay? And then we're going to chill that after we steam it. This stock is starting to simmer. I'm going to turn this down, or starting to boil. So pretty soon it's going to boil here. I'm going to turn it down to a light simmer, cook that for an hour. So I'm steaming that for 30 minutes. I'm going to cook this for an hour, and we're going to be back here to check it all out. This is the basis of our dish. I know it's a little bit difficult, but we're chefing it up on this one. We got to do something really cool with this taro root recipe for the Hawaiian Islands. And I'm representing here with my North Shore shirt on. A lot of you don't even know what that means, but if you've seen North Shore, you do. And you got to give it a little shocker for that. But let's get this going right now, and I'll see you guys back in a little bit. Hey guys, all right, we're back. And I'm going to start this dish up. So one of the first things I want to start with on our stew is we've got our beautiful taro here. Now this taro, if you get raw taro, you can take the taro with the skin on it, which is brown. It looks like a potato, almost like a really hearty potato, like almost like a yuca. And you can just actually boil it in that for about 15 to 20 minutes, strain off the water, let it cool, and peel it. And then what you get is this. These are pieces of it, right? We cut it down to smaller chunks. So even from here, I'm going to cut these into smaller pieces. But we'll do that in a second while I'm getting this ready. So first thing we're going to want to do is get my shallots going. So I've got shallots here. And I don't want to cut these too small. I want to cut these in like little rings. I think it'd be fun that way. So I'm going to take my shallots and I'll lay them flat here, and I just julienne them like this. Okay? So you can see that's super simple, right? Julienne shallots. Now meanwhile, in the back here, I've got my fish stock. It's been simmering for like an hour, and I've got my my taro root leaves with chickpea is steamed for about 30 minutes. Okay, and those are cooling, so we can play with them later. So here I've got really nice, beautiful shallots, and I'm going to get these started off, okay? So what I'm going to do is put some coconut oil in here if you have it. A lot of times you can buy extra virgin coconut oil at the store really easily now. It's at all the grocery stores. And what's nice about it, it's going to give you a very nice coconutty flavor in this too. Not only are you going to have coconut milk at the end, we're going to put coconut in it now. It's going to be super flavorful. Okay? So our shallots. Okay, I want to put like a nice little golden on these. You don't need to caramelize them hardcore because we want this to be kind of like a beautiful kind of white or off-white kind of coconut broth or stew with our taro root. So I've got my shallots here, lots of shallots. This dish is all about these beautiful onions, mixing those earthy flavors with wonderful taro root. It's going to give us nice starchiness as well. Okay. Now with this, I have garlic. Now I'm going to take off the pieces of garlic stem here, kick those off to the side, and I'm going to do a slice of my garlic. I like garlic slices in this. You can do any way you want it. You can do smash it down. You can smash the garlic down and mince it, but I'm going to just do little circles of garlic. I want to see these in the stew, and I think if you do it like this, you'll see that in the stew. So just cutting them really super thin like this. Now, I want to stir this up for a second here. Let me put a little bit more fat in there. Okay, and stir this. We can turn it down a little. We don't have to go that fast. We want to let these onions come down nicely. Okay, and then while that's coming down, we're going to add our garlic in here in a second and add our other flavors. Okay, I'm going to do the garlic first. Let that toast in here. The shallots don't have as much water in them as onions do, so they're going to cook down a little faster. Okay, so you're going to go to a point where you're quickly ready to move on with the dish. You're not going to take a long time to kind of melt the onions down. Okay, so we have that here like this. Now, do we put in green onions? No, because green onions are going to turn color on us, and we don't want that on this dish right now. I'm going to add carrots in a second, but before I do that, I'm going to take the ginger. Now I have a little grating plate here, and I'm going to take that, and I'm going to grate the ginger right on this grating plate. You see how beautiful that is? And you can just take that paste on here. Now this grating plate is for garlic too. If you wanted to put the garlic on that, you could have. They were so tiny though, sometimes you end up grating your fingers, so that's why I don't do that sometimes. But you can see it's steaming now. Why? Because the garlic, or the ginger, is letting off a lot of ginger juice. So this is the equivalent of probably half a tablespoon of ginger. So it's quite a bit of ginger. And Hawaii's got beautiful ginger, and that's why I'm adding this to this dish. This dish is going to be very indicative of what you find in Hawaii. I've got some Hawaiian turmeric here too. You see how bright that is? It's different. Now, I just want to, you see that on here on my plate? I just want to grate it on my plate like this. Okay? And I'm going to put that in there as well. Okay? Like that. Beautiful turmeric. So this turmeric, right? Like bright red. That's the Hawaiian ones are really bright red like that. They're not the yellow style Indian ones. And they've got a beautiful flavor. And I like them fresh. I don't like it dried as much. I think when it's fresh, it's really beautiful flavor. So there we go. Okay, our fresh Hawaiian turmeric in there. Okay. Oh, have you ever had those turmeric shots? Just like that. So good. Okay, now I'm going to cut my carrots in half just so I can lay them flat like this. And this one's bigger, so I'm going to cut this one kind of lengthwise. This one's smaller. You see that? So I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm just going to slice this into little diced pieces. Okay, the carrot, a lot of times in like fish stews like this, I don't add carrot because carrot's sweet, but because we're going to add some spice to this dish, I'm going to add the carrot. That's going to help balance that. So, turmeric, garlic, ginger, shallots, carrot, right? All cooking together. Look at that. Look at the beautiful color in there, right? You see that beautiful orange? And healthy, very healthy for you, right? What we're looking to do is make this nice aromatic vegetable base to make our taro root stew in. So just to have the taro root's going to add starchiness, texture. It's going to add creaminess to this, right? So what we want to do is balance it with these beautiful flavors of Hawaii as well. The Hawaiian ginger, the Hawaiian turmeric, right? The carrot and the shallots, the nice shallots they grow on the island, super flavorful, okay? And now, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna put these chilies in, like, a lot of times you'll see red chilies in a dish. That's because these chilies are hot. So what I do is just poke them. If you cut these up and put them in here, way too hot. So I just poke them. What that does is when they're cooking in the liquid, they're gonna release the flavor that's inside the pepper out, but you're going to be able to take these chilies out later. Now, a lot of times when you get these dishes in Thai restaurants and stuff, you'll see those Thai chilies will be floating around in there. They're not meant to eat, and a lot of times you're like, can I eat it? And then you try it, and then you burn yourself. So that happens, right? But This is perfect like this. Now, what I'm going to do, because I want to add a little bit more sweetness. Now, I'm going to take probably 2 green chilies with the seeds, and I'm just going to mince these up like this to make this kind of my hot green chili in there, right? And 2 is going to be more than you need, okay? Remember not to touch your eyes when you're doing chilies like that. It's going to make it hot. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some sweet cooking rice seasoning. This is like a rice seasoning. It's a little bit of sugar, a little bit of sake. And I'm going to put that in, okay, to deglaze the pan. You see how I'm going to get this little bit of brown that's created here from the shallots cooking. Get that off, okay? That's also going to give sweetness to this, okay? If you had just regular Japanese sake, that's fine as well. You could put a little sake and some sugar in there. White sugar is fine. Coconut sugar would be nice as well. Otherwise, that's perfect for deglazing the pan. If you don't have it and you wanted to add some white wine, use a dry white wine is fine as well. A sweeter one like a Riesling would be good too if you happen to have that around. You don't have to have those, so don't stress about that. Now, I have my stock here. You guys can see that, all right? I'm gonna grab a ladle so we can get this out. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I got a strainer as well because I don't want any of these solids in here. And you can see this beautiful, see the mushroom stock, the head of that really like kind of cooked down. And then now what I'm gonna do is add all of this beautiful stock on here. And you can see this stock it's like a nice little off clear color. It's got a little bit of a greenness to it from those the green onion tops in there and the all of the pieces that are in there. You could add lemongrass to this if you wanted to. A lot of times I would add lemongrass to this. It's a great flavor, but I'm going to add lemon in at the end as well. But the lemongrass is one of my favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and strain the rest of this, and we'll be right back. Okay, so here we have our stock, our vegetables, all of that. I'm going to bring it to a boil. Okay, before we do that, I'm going to add in our mushrooms. Now these mushrooms, because they're like a little, almost like a Japanese hanjimiji style mushroom, which you can find these in the Asian markets that you might have around. That's where I find mine at a place that does beautiful Japanese food. They have a little market too, and I get those in there. If you don't have those, you could use a shiitake from the grocery store or just a button mushroom if you had a button mushroom. But mushrooms in this dish add a beautiful flavor to this. That particular mushroom doesn't need to be hard sauteed, so I don't have to put that in the beginning. I can put it in right now, and this is kind of when I'm going to add in my my taro root as well. So the taro, I'm just going to cut this into chunks, okay? I just want to have this in like bite-sized chunks like this, okay? And I'm going to add that in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cook this down, and we're going to let the flavors of the taro melt with all of the flavors that we have in here with these vegetables and these spices, and we're going to adjust the seasoning towards the end. So I'm going to add all this in, okay? And we'll see you back in a little bit, and we'll see how it's doing about halfway through. Okay, guys, what I did was I put cast iron on here with some oil in there, just a little bit. Use a frying oil. Canola is fine. And I've got my steam package here, you can see. So what I want to do now is it's already cooked. The taro leaves are nice and cooked. I'm just going to remove my plastic off of there. So just take that like this and remove it. You see how it's like a nice burrito now? It's all firmed up because that starch is all firmed up on there. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this into coins like this. See what that looks like? So these little coins of the taro root leaf in the batter, I'm going to fry those crispy. I don't think it's ready yet though. No. Yeah, it's close actually. Let me put it in. Yep. See your bubbling here? So we're going to drop them in, and we'll fry them on this side. And then when they get crispy, we're going to flip them over and fry them on the other side. So, you know, they're frying about 350. If you have a little deep fry, you can drop them in there whole. That's fine. I'm only shallow frying because whenever I don't need to fry a lot of stuff, I usually shallow fry and just flip them like this, and that way I don't waste as much oil. So it's something you can do at home. Okay. In the back here, I've got my my stew going. So I'm cooking that, simmering that for about 20 minutes, and then I'll show you guys how to finish that. We're gonna get this crispy, and we'll be right back. Okay, they've been frying for about, I think probably about a minute or two. So we're gonna flip it and see what it looks like. It's hard for you guys to see, but can you see how like beautiful and golden that's getting? And because of the paprika in there, it gets a nice color. That's why I like to add the paprika, not only for the beautiful peppery flavor that it gives, that it also adds a nice color to this and makes it look really appetizing. So you can feel the tops of them are getting crispy, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want this to be soggy. We want to crisp up that chickpea, and it's beautiful when it gets crispy. So we've done that. I've flipped them all. And now we're going to let them crispy fry on that side for probably another 3 to 4 minutes. I'm going to get them super crispy, and then I'm going to put them on the drain towel. So we'll be right back. Now, while we wait for this to finish up, it's still got like another minute left. I'm going to show you my snapper. So to finish this dish, we're going to take the snapper body, which I have here, this beautiful fillet. Now, if you look at this, look at the color on that. Just incredible color, right? I'll flip it over and I'll show you this side here as well. Look at that. Beautiful. It's been scaled already for us. Now, when you get this from the fishmonger, I asked him for half of that fish, and I asked him for the head, which he gave me. But you're going to have some bones right down this piece here. So I'm going to show you guys how to get rid of those. First, you got to have a nice knife, right? Get a nice sharp knife. And the bones run right here. And you're going to go on one side of that, not all the way through the skin. I go very gentle down. The skin is, this flesh is really easy to touch and go through. So you just go through gently. And then I go through it on the top side of this, like this, all the way down to the end where the bones are. And I go all the way down to the skin. Now what I do is when I get to the skin, I turn it like that and just scrape a little bit, not to go through the skin. And what I end up with is that centerpiece like this, that has been pulled out, that's got all the bones in it. There are no more bones in this. I'm going to trim this edge like this a little bit. And I'm going to trim this tail just a touch. Okay? And this thing is ready to go. So at this point, I'm just going to cut it in half, probably about here, to 2 equal portions. You see how beautiful that is? Now when we saute this, you've got to score the skin a little. So I don't score it straight down. You'll cut too deep through the fish itself. You want to lay it like this at an angle, and what you do then is you're piercing through the skin. Why is that important? Because the skin's going to tighten up and curl this fish up. We don't want it to curl up. Okay, we want it to stay nice and flat. So I'm going to run the knife right through that skin. I don't want to cut down deep into the flesh. I just want to cut through the skin like that. You see? And that's it. All right, so we're ready to saute. These are ready to come off. So I'm going to turn this off, and then I'm going to lay these in here to drain. Now, right when they come off, you guys can be careful with these too. Let them drain on your paper towels here. Okay, like this. Okay, lay them flat. There's a lot of little grooves in there, so you want to let them dry really nice. I put salt on them right here too. Okay. And these are going to be crunchy and beautiful. Okay, so it's going to be a really nice garnish. Just let that sit by your stove, whatever, to keep it warm. Let's try it. I always like trying it. Oh, yeah, that looks gorgeous. So let's try it. Really nice. Good flavor. The greens, you can taste like the beautiful earthiness from the greens, almost like you're eating callaloo or kale. Beautiful. And then you've got the nice chickpea crunch to it from that batter of chickpea with the spices on there. So it's crunchy. This is almost like having, we're using the taro root in this stew, and then we're going to use the leaves to make kind of almost like a crouton, if you will, on top of it for crunch. It's gonna be really nice. So I'll be right back. We'll get this stew done. We'll saute the fish. We'll be ready to go. All right, you guys, I add a little bit more coconut oil to this. I love using coconut oil. It's got a high burning level, so we can use this when we're doing this fish. I'm gonna take some salt and put it on the top of the fish here. And I'm gonna take some ground pepper. I don't wanna do a lot to this, okay? I wanna press this flat like this, and then I wanna put salt on the beautiful flesh side of this. Gorgeous looking fillets. You can see the color in this, how it's this beautiful. You see how it's not white, right? It's kind of this pink color. That's what you want. If it's white, a lot of times it's white because it's been frozen and defrosted, and it loses that pink color and it gets just this white color, and that's what you're not looking for. So we want a hot pan, hot oil. We lay the skin in this way and we press it that way. So the oil, if it does splatter, splatters away from you, okay? So remember, put it in, let it splatter away from you, okay? Now, right when it goes in, the first thing I do is press it down. And we do this, you gotta be careful not to let it splatter on you. But when you do this and you press it down in the beginning, it keeps the fish fillet nice and flat. Now you've seen some people put like, there's things called fish bricks, or a little heavy brick that are made for food that we set on top of it. But you don't cook that much at home fish, so you can just take it like this and press it flat, okay? And we're gonna let this saute like this. Now, the best way to cook this, at this point, once it gets hot like this and it's sauteed nice on the skin, you pop it right in the oven. Like 400 degrees, pop it in the oven, let it stay on the skin the whole time. Skin protects it. When it comes out of the oven, we'll flip it. But I might do this one right in the pan, that way I don't have to turn the oven on. So it really depends. In the restaurant, that's what we do. We call pan roasting. We actually start by sauteing it like this, get the skin crispy and get it going. Then we throw it in the oven. Now you don't always have the oven on at home, so we're not gonna do this. I'm gonna show you how you would do this at home. You're just gonna let this saute like this, right? And we're gonna let this go for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna flip it. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So we'll be right back in 3 minutes. Okay, we're back here. Our fillet needs to be flipped now. We're gonna just flip it gently. Remember, flip it away from you, right? Look at that skin. You see how beautiful that is? You got a beautiful golden color. Remember, flip it away from you so you don't splatter yourself. Now, here's the crucial part. The skin is nice and crispy at this point. Looks really nice. I only like to go on this side for maybe like 1 to 2 minutes. So we don't want to overcook this. It's a beautiful fish. We're going to go for 2 minutes. I don't want to put a lot of sear on that flesh side because it'll take away the beautiful delicacy and the texture, that soft texture of this. Yeah, it's okay if the skin is crispy. That's going to be a great texture. But we don't want the fish itself to dry out and get overly crispy itself, the flesh of that. So we're going to let this sit on here for 1.5 minutes. We're going to flip it back over for 2 minutes, and then we're going to take it off. So see you back in 1 minute. Okay, guys, we're back. We've got our fillet here. I'm going to go back on the skin side really quick. Okay, you see how I don't want to put too much of a sear on that. To me, that's almost too much sear, because even in the minute that was there, you see how it's like, you see how the texture of that now is a little firmer. It's turned golden a little. What we've done is we've damaged a little bit the soft delicacy of the fish. You ever had a steamed fish? When you bite it, it's like melts in your mouth. It's so delicate. That's what you're looking for on the flesh part of it. So go a little less than I went on there. The best, like I said, is just to leave it on the skin the whole side. So if I did, most of the time in the restaurant, we just leave it on the skin the whole side in the oven. We take it out, we flip it over on the plate. It never hits the soft side of it. Okay. So with this now, we're going to take this off, and we're going to lay it right on our plate. Now, it's cooked at this point. Cooked at this point about medium rare, which is right where we want it. It's beautiful. So at this point, we're done with the fish. We want to let that sit 1 second. while we finish our stew. When we're done with our stew, we're gonna plate this dish up. So I'll see you back in a second. Now, what we see with this stew, after we've cooked this down, like what's happened, it's thickened up, right? Because all of that beautiful taro root has kind of softened. Even though it's been cooked already, it's still gonna now soften more, and you can see those little chunks have softened their edges. That's exactly where I like it. And then I'm gonna put myself 1 can of coconut milk in there. Obviously, if you have fresh coconut milk, that's even better, but I know it's hard to get that at home sometimes. We actually get that in Florida, so I use it quite a bit. But if you can't get that, it's not gonna be detrimental. Just buy a good quality one. I use a Thai brand that I really like, that I'll link on here. But with this, you see those chilies in there, those beautiful red chilies. You don't wanna eat those, but I mean, you can if you want to. They're really tasty, but I know a lot of people are always worried about that. Now, coconut milk, I do not like to cook that for like 10, 15 minutes. I like to just simmer that coconut milk a little bit, and then it'll be done. So here, now we're at the end. This is where we finish this dish with our green onions. So I've got my clean green onions here. I'm just gonna put them on my plate. Okay, and I'm gonna dice these up like this so they're beautiful. And then I'm going to stick those in here. So 1 bunch of diced green onions. Okay. I've got a bunch of cilantro here. I'm just going to cut off the heavy pieces there, put them here. And I'm just going to cut this in 4s, like that. 4 chunks, right? You saw that? I'm not like cutting that way down. I just want to like lightly cut that just to break it and let this cook in there. This is beautiful, okay? All right, you know one thing I'm gonna go? I'm gonna go in the garden and grab some basil, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. You can see I've got some beautiful garden basil. This is actually Thai basil, and I'm not gonna even cut it. I'm just breaking the leaves like this. Beautiful broken leaves of Thai basil, like this. Right in here. Whole leaves, some broken, some whole. That's the beauty of this. Great flavors, super earthy, okay? Now, what I want to do is taste it, see where we are. So, wow. It's amazing. The texture is fabulous because coconut milk already has a nice texture, but when you mix that with the fish broth that's been stewed together with the taro root, unbelievable. I'm gonna add fish sauce because it needs salt. If you don't have fish sauce, at this point just add soy sauce, right? Or add salt if you don't have soy sauce. But I'm gonna add some beautiful fish sauce here. I like this 3 crabs one, it's really nice. I think it was Vietnamese actually. So I'm gonna put that in, and I'm gonna see if my salt level's where it needs to be at that point. And that beautiful fish sauce is gonna give you this nice umami with like all those root vegetables and spices that we put in there. Wow, that's perfect. I'm turning it off. It doesn't need anything else. Let me clean up. We're gonna plate this dish up. I'll see you back in a second. All right, guys, here we go. We've got our dish here. The only thing I'm gonna do is finish it with just a little lemon or lime juice. I would use lime if I had lime, but I've got lemon in there, so we're gonna use lemon. I just wanna blend those seasonings in like that. That's just what it needed. A little bit of that, okay? Now, I'm gonna take this wonderful stew here. Look at that taro root in there. Oh God, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. The mushrooms, the taro root, right? Look at that. Beautiful. And super rich and earthy, right? The texture of this is incredible, right? And then I'm gonna cut this little lemon wedge here, like that. You can stick that on the side like this, so they can put some more right before they eat it. That's unbelievable. Look at this. I got perfect piece of snapper for this dish, right? And then, even better, a couple crunchy croutons of taro root leaves in there. I mean, look at that dish, you guys. Put a little bit of Thai basil. It doesn't get any better. I love this dish, and I hope you guys are going to love it. I'm going to eat it right now, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Hopefully I'll see you back in my kitchen. I'm Chef Dean Max, and mahalo from the Hawaiian Islands. Beautiful taro root. Try it. Check it out. I think you're going to like it. See you back soon.